definitely educate me some more on.
Sure, sure. Well, it's been probably about a year since I've bought a new Spider-Man comic, so I'm a little bit behind myself.
Understood, understood.
I did the classic fanboy move of like getting just super into a storyline, being really upset at a plot point, and it's just nope, I'm not buying anymore.
What was that last plot point that upset you the most?
Well, at the end of the Amazing Spider-Man series in Spider-Man 700, um, Spider-Man and Doc Ock had switched bodies,
I remember
and
that.
then
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, and then the Doc Ock body died. So now Spider-Man was alive with Doc Ock's brain inside of him, and they started a Superior Spider-Man comic.
I remember
And
that one.
I was really into it. I was buying every issue and like all of the like peripheral stuff, like the Superior Foes of Spider-Man and the annuals and all of this. And Dan Slott, who was in charge of Spider-Man at the time and still is, said in a letter, in like the editor's letter at the end, is like, you guys need to get used to Ox Spidey. He's not going anywhere. Peter Parker is dead forever. And I was like, cool. Finally, they're, standing behind a decision that's like, risky.
Right.
And they're doing it for story purposes. And I really respected that. And 3 months later, Spider-Man came back to life.
You know, that sounds similar to, and I hate to change universes so quickly, but that sounds similar to when Chris Stuckman actually respected that Batman Superman killed Superman, and then like it would have been like actually a risky move for the DC to like move forward with no Superman.
Well, they tried it in the 90s.
Yeah, it was kind of very soon for them to do it in their universe, theatrically speaking, but at the same time, it was a bold move that he respected, which he in his mind he thought was like the only thing worth seeing Batman Superman for.
Yeah.
But I feel the same way about Spider-Man the Doc Ock situation. I think it was an interesting plot twist. I'm not sure if it got as many fans as up in arms about Cap saying "Hail Hydra," but that's another subject. But yeah, so I'm excited to see. Do you think that was a more of a move to maybe put Miles Morales more in the spotlight?
Maybe. I've never cared about anything outside of 616, the mainstream continuity.
Right.
So like, I don't know, maybe Miles Morales really isn't on my radar.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's why I'm kind of interested to see what's even though they've had a iffy track history, I'm still interested to see what Sony's going to do with Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse in December, to see like how many different versions of Spidey are they going to throw into this in this animated feature.
Oh, I'm not. There's an animated feature?
Yeah, it's coming out this December. They already released the trailer like a year in advance, and it was pretty incredible. It's almost like the best of like IMAX animation meets anime, and it was really cool what they did with the look for this.
Oh, that sounds interesting.
Yeah, and from the looks of it, we're just like theorizing here, but it looked like they ended the trailer with Miles Morales talking with Peter Parker.
Yeah, and that's happened, Time
Yeah, and they
travel,
also had
interdimensional, whatnot.
correct, and then they also had a cemetery stone with I think Spider-Man's name on it or Peter Parker's name on it.
Hmm.
Yeah, so I'm interested to see what they do with that one.
Yeah.
So outside of that, besides the Doc Ock situation, has there been like any other plot points in Spider-Man continuities that you wish they would have stuck to or changed?
Yeah, that's a tough question. I don't know. Like, I'm fine with them bringing back Ben Riley. Like, I always assumed Ben Riley survived. Um, well, I guess One More Day. That was kind of a weak move. That when Spider-Man made a deal with the devil.
Right. Which sounds unless it's just a what's the word again? Unless it's just a naive teenage decision, it kind of felt like a very unspidey thing to do. But
yeah, well, it makes sense for the character of Peter Parker. Like Aunt May is all he had left, really, as far as family goes.
Exactly.
So like to lose her would be devastating. And I could see him wanting to do anything to get her back. And like the way they did it in the comic was that like he didn't want to do it. It was Mary Jane that convinced him to do it.
Right.
And like that erased their marriage, so they weren't married anymore.
Right. Which I kind of that was actually going to be my next question, kind of a smoother transition. My next question to you would have been, how would you feel like Peter Parker / Spider-Man does in relationships? Do you think that the woman kind of tend to over-influence a lot of his decisions, or do you think he kind of exercises a little mind of his own when it comes to relationships?
Well, I mean, he falls into that, like he has to save the girl. Like, he's put into situations where he, pretty much has to, or else he wouldn't be a hero. But as far as like the women in his life influencing like who he is, I think they actually do a pretty good job with that. Like Mary Jane especially is very supportive of him. She makes him stronger.
Yeah, which is why I'm kind of on the fence about. I mean, don't get me wrong. I love her as an actress and as a person, but because of the way she was introduced personality-wise in Homecoming, I'm kind of scared as to what they're going to do with MJ on the big screen in the future.
That's not Mary Jane.
That's the thing, though. We know it's not Mary Jane, but why still use the nickname MJ? Like, are we doing like a crossover alias thing here, or are we trying to reinvent her character? I don't know what they're going to do.
Yeah, I think they're trying to have their cake and eat it too. They want to introduce Mary Jane as a new, different kind of character, but they know that people will not accept that. So they're trying to be like, oh yeah, this character like fills the place of that other character, but it's a different person. Don't worry about all the differences we've made. And like they tried to like reveal it at the end as like a twist. It's like that's not a twist.
Yeah. I fully agree. And then I'm also curious to see with all their Spider-Man spin-offs, I'm curious to see what Sony's going to do with Black and Silver, because I don't know if they'll ever have a Black Cat Spider-Man crossover. So we'll see how that goes, because Black Cat always, even though she's been a love interest, she's always been kind of that. I think she kind of lives up to the name synonymous with. She's pretty much the Catwoman of the SpiderVerse.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
the one that she's that type of female where she wants to be so-called independent 100%, but like you said, have her cake and eat it too when it comes to a hero love interest. Like it's almost like the same intensity I have when I play through the Batman Telltale games. Like, should I keep this relationship with Catwoman or should I just break her heart? Because it seems like she always has you on the fence as to just crushing your heart in her hands or actually maintaining a trustworthy relationship with you. So I'd like to see that part of Spidey explored on the big screen as well.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, Black Cat's a super interesting character because, like, I think that's, I mean, there's probably other examples, but I can't think of them. She's unique in that not only an anti-hero, but she's almost an anti-love interest. She fills all the roles of a love interest, but like the motivations and the backstory are all kind of inverted and twisted.
Exactly. And that's what makes her That's what makes her a contemporary of Catwoman, because Catwoman's exactly the same.
Exactly. He'd like to be with her. You know, she's hot and smart and all of these great things, but she keeps committing crimes, and he's a hero. So you know, you can't do that.
Exactly, and they play with that even in the Injustice games as well. So, like, in my opinion, a Black Cat Spider-Man interest might be also maybe an ideal way to go, since they already introduced the interracial love interest in Homecoming. Black Cat might even take that a little further. So I'd be really curious to see.
Is Black Cat a black woman in Black and Silver?
That's the other thing. I have no idea, because I have no idea who the castings are, first of all, because I know that's what she is in the comics. But
Black
as far
Cat?
as the castings, yeah, but as far as the casting goes, I'm not sure, because of course the only tiny taste we got of her was Felicia in The Amazing Spider-Man 2, and of course that's the girl from Rogue One. But
Yeah, well, in the comics, she's white. She's like a blonde-haired Felicia Harding.
right, and they kind of somewhat changed that in a couple other alternate comics. So I wouldn't be surprised if they kind of change it for the MCU as well. But for me, even what they did, I think that's why people considered it a mess. Like, even teasing Felicia in The Amazing Spider-Man 2, like, that is not... She has, like, in my opinion, respect to her, because I think she's great in other films, but as far as Rogue One and Amazing Spider-Man 2 is concerned, she had, like, no charisma whatsoever.
Well, she had like 2 lines.
Exactly. So,
yeah, there wasn't much to judge there.
But then that's the point. Like, why even introduce that character if she's only going to get 2 lines? So...
Well, yeah, that's all Spider-Man 2 was like, here's 3 dozen threads that we might explore. Why don't you tell us which ones you like best, and we might do them.
It's like the Justice League email and Batman Superman. Like, let's just throw at you all these characters just to give them their 2-second cameos, because we know you're going to get a Justice League in the future. Like, how disrespectful are you going to treat your fans to think that they're not going to get a Justice League in the future?
Yeah, as if that's not the goal.
Exactly. So I'm so sad about that. But anyway, getting back to that, what are your thoughts on now Tom Hardy doing Venom?
I like Tom Hardy. I think it's weird to do a Venom movie without mentioning Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Because why does he have a spider on his chest?
Yep.
You know what?
This is where things get tricky, because whenever, and I'm not saying Sony's doing this intentionally, but it feels like, compared to the Sam Raimi days, which I have my beef with as well, it seems like Sony has this thing where they think they could do things independently, but the more you nitpick them, there's so many fine details that they're missing out on great opportunities just to cash in on, like, fellow great ideas. And even the whole thing with what happened before they even made the Sam Raimi trilogy, I'm sure you already heard the story that at that time they actually had the opportunity to buy out all the Marvel heroes, and they said, oh, nobody cares about any of these heroes, they only care about Spider-Man. So Sony had their chance to own the MCU, and I'm sure the biggest mistake in blockbuster movie history.
Yeah, well, and like, you can't really blame them at the time. Nobody gave a single shit about Iron Man before the Iron Man movie came out, and it's just like any other movie. It doesn't really matter what it's about.
Yeah.
If it's done well, people will love it.
Exactly, and I think that's where the MCU got it right, in the sense where it seemed like their goal was to take heroes that nobody gave a shit about and to actually give them a reason to give a shit, and then have this whole Avengers end goal in mind that has made into this blockbuster universe that I think no one in movie history could have comprehended.
Yeah, it was amazing how they turned that around too, because like in the comics world, it's the standalones that are like the popular, well-selling things.
Oh, yeah.
The Avengers was a dumping ground.
Oh yeah.
They would put their least popular characters into the Avengers, just like, I don't know, do something with them.
Exactly. That's so crazy. And I think they're only giving me like 10 seconds here, but yeah, So I digressed from Spider-Man way too much, but last thing I'll probably leave with is he better come back to life after Infinity War, and I hope that's not a spoiler.